Are you disappointed by the size of the PS5 Slim? Did you wish it could be even smaller? You're not alone. But check this out. A fan has made a micro PS5 that's 70% smaller than the original PS5, is compact enough to slip into a backpack. It features a glowing PS logo on the front, docks and charges two DualShock controllers on either side, and boasts thermal performance nearly matching that of the standard PS5. Created by YouTuber NFC, this PlayStation Mini uses a redesigned architecture and an external disk drive that drastically reduces its size, resulting in a console that's only about 30% the size of the original. So what's the story here? When rumors of the PS5 Slim began making rounds on the internet, YouTuber Not4Concentrate hoped that Sony would radically shrink the console and make the disk drive external instead of detachable. Instead, we got a marginally smaller console that had a disk drive that could only be used by snapping it onto the side of the vertical console. Not that anything's wrong with the PS5 Slim, we think it's an iteratively improved console, but NFC definitely found himself wanting more. The journey he embarked on is one that not all of us can take. It involved deep designing, engineering, and using CNC machines and 3D printers to build everything from new outer housings to inner thermal architectures, and even adding a logo and backlight to make it something so professional it looked like it came out of Sony's own headquarters. The resulting PS5 Mini is probably a one-off unit that NFC built for the YouTube video. You can watch the entire thing above, but it's a sheer work of art and engineering. Anyone can rip circuitry off from the existing PS5 and cram it into a new plastic body. But only a few of them can do such a great job that the resulting PS5 Mini has a performance that rivals its bigger sibling. In fact, the tinier console is nearly 3.3 liters in volume, making it significantly smaller than the 10.5-liter PS5. It's so small it fits into most backpacks and is no larger than a thick book. Surprisingly, even the thermals match up to the original, with idle temperatures being a mere 1 degree Celsius hotter, and gaming temperatures hitting a marginal but impressive 4 degrees Celsius hotter than the original. The way NFC did this is by literally wiring temperature probes into the different parts of the console to get a holistic reading of the console's temperature at all times. The new fan works in theory, but NFC does point out that making everything smaller means having a marginally noisier fan. Luckily, this could easily be taken care of by placing the console near some speakers that would wash out the fan's sound. What do you think? Would you buy this micro PS5? Would you send your PS5 so this guy can make one for you? I know one thing, I would. Next, I got a surprise for you. What if I told you I have a code for a huge SSD discount on Amazon? Would you use it? Here's the scoop. The Silicon Power 4TB meets all the requirements for your PS5 SSD upgrade. It supports transfer speeds of up to 7,000 megabytes per second read and 6,500 megabytes per second write, which is well above the 5,500 megabytes per second minimum threshold. However, it does not include a heatsink, but you can get one at $7 and it's not hard to install. The PS5 is an amazing console, but the 1 terabyte SSD is really holding it back. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, for example, can exceed 200 gigabytes alone, NBA 2K23 weighs in at 150 gigabytes, and even older games like God of War Ragnarok and Forbidden West require 100 gigabytes of space. Future games like Grand Theft Auto 6 will undoubtedly demand even more space, probably up to 300 gigabytes. If you have a gaming PC, this is one of the best SSDs you can get in terms of speed and capacity at this price point. Windows 11 requires 64 gigabytes all by itself. Games require as much or more space than even a gaming console. A 4 terabytes SSD should be able to handle all the apps you'll ever need to install. If you've built your own PC, you might have purchased a motherboard that already has an integrated SSD cooler. If that's the case, you'll be glad that this SSD doesn't have a heatsink pre-installed. This same coupon code works on most Silicon Power SSDs. That means this 2 terabyte Silicon Power XS70 SSD with pre-installed robust aluminum heatsink costs is also on sale. It's $126 after the code is applied, making it the best price we're seeing right now for a 2 terabytes PS5 with heatsink. Personally, I find myself deleting games almost every week. That 1 terabyte fills up pretty fast, so I might be going for the 4 terabytes. And for $70 extra, I get double the storage. What would you get? Or are you happy with your 1 terabyte? Let's talk about the new PS5 firmware update. Sony has just released the latest PS5 system software update. Always a glorious day on Planet PlayStation. Coming in at just over 1 gigabyte, it's available to download and install now. The question is, as always, what does the update do? As per the official patch notes, there are a few improvements, mostly pertaining to game help. A new community game help feature, Essentially, this expands PS5's game help system by presenting you with gameplay videos from other players. You can opt in or out of having your gameplay videos shared through this feature. It also mentions improved system software performance and stability. So this is just system software. Do not expect any performance enhancements in games. Improved the messages and usability on some screens. So, not the biggest update in the world, but that community game help feature could be interesting, depending on how many games support it. It also sounds like Sony wants to compete with YouTube a bit. I think the idea is something like, don't waste time going on YouTube searching for a video on how to beat a boss or how to find that secret key to the gate. Good news for players saving time, but bad news for content creators. And I have another question. Does Sony plan to compensate players for sharing this? Because I know YouTube does. So if you ask me, if I find an easy way to beat a boss or cool tip, I'd much prefer to post it on YouTube. And in the end of the day, it'll always be a higher quality on YouTube due to editing the video before posting it, like voiceover and highlighting specific things in the footage. But that's just my 2 cents on it. What do you think about these new updates? And what update do you think PS5 desperately needs?
Come, we must help the others.